You're listening to JTE Movie Thinks. Is that the title? Is that correct grammar? All right, we'll go with it. It's a show about movies and thinking. And now, here's your host, every man's hero, JTE.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to a new episode of JTE Movie Thinks. I'm back. Sorry there was no episode last week. It was a little crazy over here in Hollywood. I got a lot of stuff to do, but I came back with a great guest. You guys might know him from Far, Far Away with Miss Tiffany Smith. And one of the new shows, which I actually been listening to a lot lately, and when people see me on the bus yelling into my phone, it's because I'm disagreeing with some of these choices. It's the Top 10 show, Mr. John Rocha.
Hey, thanks for JT for having me on. It's great to be on.
No, thanks for coming on, man. Let's talk a little bit about Top 10.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. This is a new show that you started with Nost.
Yeah, Matt Nost, yeah.
Matt Nost, who I played basketball with back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we used to play in the Highland area. Ellis, as soon as he found out I knew basketball, he's like, I know a bunch of comedians that play basketball.
Wow.
So I started playing with those guys. It's been a while. I joined a gym.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like spoiled by the indoor court now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
it's a whole other ball game
there. It's a whole other ball game there.
Yeah.
And so Nos is great, too. So I knew him.
Yeah.
I wasn't really that familiar with you until the Top 10 show came out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you guys, the show's pretty awesome, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah. It's
Top 10 shows are tough.
Yes, very tough. And there's so many people that do them.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of preparation that has to go into that. Me, I do no prep for this show because I don't know what movie we're talking about until the guy tells me what we're talking about.
Or girl, right?
Or girl, yeah. So for you to every week, I mean, how often do you watch these movies, or do you just kind of go on your basic geek knowledge?
Well, a lot of the times it's a basic knowledge that I have of films because I've been watching films. I became a mad addict when I was 10 years old. I just would watch films because my parents are both foreign born, so they had to they would put me in front of the television with my nanny or with the lady they'd hired to take care of me while they went to work because they had to pay bills and things of that nature. So to me, that's how I became a huge TV and film fan. I would just watch whatever was on TV and would just get into the stories and stuff. And so I was always a big movie guy, and I just felt really natural. And so I just started watching films all the way from 10 years old, and I would go and see avant-garde independent films down in downtown DC. I would sneak off and see films all the time in various cities that I was in during the military or during my time outside the service. So
that's great, man. And so but when you do these top 10 lists, there are times where you're like, okay, it's been a while, I need to revisit just this one movie. I'm not sure if it should be on the list.
Absolutely. I think that's because then we can knowledgeably talk about it, and people like for example, this recent one, the Tom Cruise one, a lot of people were really adamant about Born on the 4th of July, and really adamant about
it was me.
Yeah, well, you weren't the only one. I
love that movie.
There was a whole chorus of people.
I wasn't alone.
Yeah, no, you weren't.
Oh, okay.
No.
Good to know.
Our YouTube comment section was full of people who were saying, "What about Born on the 4th of July? What about Born on the 4th of July?"
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, seriously, there's a lot of people, a lot more than I thought, loved that film. So, but we couldn't include it because it just didn't feel like it was quite up to snuff anymore of what his stuff that he's done now. And I get why people love it. I'm not pushing anybody or putting anybody down, but it was just something that we kind of both had looked at independently. And that's the thing. Matt and I don't talk about the films we're looking at.
Okay.
No, it's on purpose. We pick a topic and then we text each other, okay, this is the topic, do you like the topic? We'll negotiate it, and then when we settle on it, we don't talk again until the day of the show. We show up, we have our own lists.
Nice.
We don't peek at each other's lists that was a big deal.
Good.
and then it just comes up naturally and we record it.
And it comes off during the show because you generally shock surprise sometimes when something's not as high, or sometimes it doesn't even make the list.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what makes our show work is that Matt and I have such different tastes, but very, very knowledgeable tastes, but different tastes. And so it leads to us arguing or debating where the rankings are, and then compromise, which I think is a really essential part of the show.
Yeah, which the viewer, that's one thing the viewer loves to hear. They want to argue too. So it's great for them to listen to whether they like what you're saying or not.
Right.
I just have the privilege of telling you to your face.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I think you're wrong sometimes. But listen, movies are all about opinions.
They really are.
It's subjective.
Well, it is, and it matters when you see it, what stage in your life you see it, and also what you're going through.
True.
You know,
totally
sometimes it's if you've been through a breakup or you're in love, certain movies at that time just really appeal to you, and they always viscerally bring you back to that place you were at when you watched them. That's the joy of film, man.
Totally agree. You know, there's some connections you make to a movie that someone else might not.
Right,
depending
exactly.
on, like you said, where you are in life or what's happening in your life at that time. Like, some movies resonate with others than more. Like, especially the coming of age episode.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of those movies I think really plays to that aspect of it, because depending on where you were in that life when you watch a certain movie, it's going to have a bigger impact.
And I was really surprised at the response to that one because because I thought, well, these are kids. Some of these are like kids growing up films. Maybe that I think it's our second highest rated one behind Pixar. And I was so surprised. I thought, because we argued whether we were going to do that topic or not. So,
well, I think that's an interesting topic because when you do like a top 10 superhero, any film you're going to think, okay, I know 5 right off the bat. That's probably going to be in there. That coming of age, like, I had no idea what was going to come up in that list.
No, true.
There's a couple staples that you're sure will make the list.
Right.
But coming of age is such an open category.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, so do me a favor. Check out Top 10 on iTunes, and it's on SK Podcast channel.
Yeah, so YouTube channel.
If you can't have iTunes, you just need the video. It's there. Same thing with this podcast, iTunes and SK Podcast. But so let's get to JT Movie Thanks.
Boom.
I think you know how the show works, John. Basically, I have a guest on. I don't know what movie we're about to talk about.
Right.
I want to know what's the last movie you watched from beginning to end.
Okay.
It can't be something you had to watch maybe for top 10. Maybe it was something you had to watch for a project you're doing.
Right.
Or a critic screening. I want something, whether it be on Netflix, maybe it's something you saw on a plane.
Yeah.
Maybe something that was in your collection that you said, you know what, I haven't seen this in a while. I just need to rewatch this, because that happens with us film geeks.
Right.
So tell me, what was the last movie you watched?
Well, it's been showing on the pay channels over the weekend, and I watched it again. Just randomly because I really love the film, and I've seen it 3 or 4 times now. John Wick.
Wick. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. Have you talked about it on the show?
No, we haven't talked about John Wick. Awesome movie. A recent film. One thing about this show is you never know when someone's going to bring up Gone with the Wind, or sometimes next week you're going to get John Wick, which are 2 very similar movies.
Listen, totally. Both classics.
Yeah, both classics.
If you had caught me last week, it would have been Gandhi. I went back and revisited
Peter
Gandhi.
King.
And I rewatched it. I own that on Blu-ray.
That's one of those movies I haven't seen since I saw it in school.
Oh, wow.
So that's one I really need to revisit, but isn't it like 3-something hours?
It's 3 hours, and it holds up. It totally holds up.
I have to check it out.
Yeah, but Wick is the one. I mean,
Wick's the one, man. I mean, listen, Keanu Reeves. Up and down career, I would say overall.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, but he kind of established himself as an action star in The Matrix. But before that, Point Break. I mean, he's always dabbled in the action genre.
Yeah.
But John Wick was like such a return of badass Keanu Reeves.
Well, yeah, and it's with a guy who, like, he's at this age now where he can play these characters with some
50.
Yeah, but with some gravitas.
Yeah.
But he's a young 50, do you know what I'm saying?
He doesn't look 50.
Right. And like he's not good when he looks 60, he's not going to look 60. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Liam Neeson and these older guys that are doing these action films, even that Terrible Gunman that Sean Penn did.
Oh, I didn't see that. No, I love Sean Penn too.
I know, dude, it's a rough one to watch too. Because he wanted to make a good one.
Yeah.
And Sean got in shape, he looked great, but it didn't quite work overall. But with this, the thing about Keanu that people always love is they sense a kind of like innocence to him, and I think there's like women always want to take care of Keanu. Okay. You know, I'm asleep with him too, but they also want to take care of Lake House, which hey, I like that movie. I'm not gonna lie, but men also enjoy watching him because he's not threatening. Like he seems like a cool dude you can hang out, and, like, not have a beer with, but maybe watch something with. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think what it comes through. I've never seen him play a character this badass, this believably. You know, he's played villains before, and he's obviously Neo in The Matrix. But like even in Neo in The Matrix,
he's
really,
struggling with it, whether he's the one or not, and he's kind of reluctant to take on that role.
And he does it until the absolute end of the third one. True. So you don't see him really embrace. You know,
I'm trying to think of a movie where he just plays a stone cold badass, and there's not that many. No. Like Constantine, which was a comic movie.
That's a good movie.
Not a bad movie. Yeah. He's not exactly like a badass.
No.
Even though he's more of a tortured kind of badass.
Right.
But John Wick was like 2 movies came out this was last year.
Yeah.
That reminded me in the same genre.
Okay.
Equalizer.
Oh yeah.
John Wick.
Equalizer is great.
I like both those movies. They were both 2 guys who are just pure badasses.
Yep.
Who kind of come out of their retirement or say
that's a good point.
It's not just revenge; it's just doing what's right.
Yeah.
But John Wick had a much more of and a lot of people have said this in reviews, a comic book feel to it.
Yeah, you could say that. Absolutely.
The whole like underground. There's almost like a lot of world building in the film.
Yeah.
Especially with like there's this hotel he goes to.
Yeah.
Where basically you pay with gold coins.
Right.
And everything is like honor system.
It's almost like a safe house for assassins.
Exactly.
So you can't. They're really stressed that you can't do business here. Like you can't kill anybody here. You can't carry out any missions here. You can come here, hang out, have a drink, talk about your whatever you're going through, get information, but you can't do business here, man.
Which is really cool because it gives you. It's not like a lot of world building so much. They just throw you into this world.
Yeah.
Which I credit a lot for the last Mad Max movie to do.
Oh, yeah.
Last Mad Max, they don't have a half hour of telling you what's happened. They just throw you into this world. And I think John Wick did the same thing. Like, we're just throwing you into this world of hitmen and killers, and you hear about John Wick. And this is one of my favorite aspects of John Wick was before he even shoots a gun. Yeah. There's so much just talk of him being a badass. Right? It's like you're building this legend before you get to see the legend do his work.
Well, it's very reminiscent. If you watch a lot, if you know about plays and watch plays, like Waiting for Godot, all they do is talk about Godot through the whole play, and then he never shows up at the end. But the whole thing is about building the myth of Godot. Yeah. Right? It's like Kaiser Soze in Usual Suspects. Like, you talk about Kaiser Soze, but
flashbacks.
Right, it's right, but you don't know who he is, and then he shows up at the end, but like, it's the whole building up of the legend is what, and I think that was a very smart way for them to do the exposition in this film. Yeah. Like, you didn't need to see scenes of John Wick being a badass. Like, he was already presented to you as a badass, so when he did badass things, you were like, of course he did that, because he's already a badass, you know, and so it works.
Even the head bad guy.
Yeah.
When usually in these kind of movies, the head bad guy, like Equalizer, the main bad guy's a Russian also. And he's like, I'm going to take this guy out, no problem. Yeah. He's like, I do good at my job. The main bad guy in John Wick is like, oh shit! Yeah, right. What have we done? Like, he's scared shitless.
Yeah, it's like a boogie. They get called a boogeyman.
The boogeyman. Yeah,
that's what his nickname is.
Even when the bad guys are scared shitless, like, and I think that could have been a problem for the movie if he didn't deliver when those action scenes came. Yeah. But because the directors were actually stuntmen, who started off as stuntmen, like, they did such a good job choreographing the action in this movie. Yeah. And let's talk a little bit about the basic plot. Sure. Because it's very... The trailer, I love the trailer for this movie.
Basic is right. It's very simple, yeah.
The fact that they take, like, the cutest dog in, like, film history, and, like, you're from this dog from day one, and this is not really spoiling anything, because I think it's in the trailer. Yeah. These bad guys break in, and they kill his little puppy dog. Right. I mean, automatically you're on John Wick's side.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, you want these people... They could have blown up a bus and you wouldn't have felt as bad.
No, absolutely.
Full of people.
Right.
You kill a little puppy dog, it's over.
Yeah. Especially, and they cast that dog correctly. Yeah. Because they want the audience to immediately gravitate and feel the loss of that dog as soon as it happens.
And what was great is the way they tied the dog to his dying wife. Oh, yeah. It's his dying wife's last gift to him. Right. When I in that theater, I was like, kill everybody. I was like, no wonder he's so pissed off.
Yeah. Well, this is why I love the film, man. When I'm such a sucker for good revenge films that are done well, even if they have the same kind of tropes or cliches, if they're done really well, you don't understand how starved you are for one until you see a good one. Totally. And I think John Wick falls into that category, which is why I rewatched it over the weekend, because I was like, I just had a couple hours on a Saturday and I was flipping channels. It happened to start at the time where I was just flipping channels. I was like, oh, I'm watching this.
John Wick's on.
John Wick's on.
I agree with you. Like, a good revenge film will hit every once in a while, and it kind of reawakes that. I think the first take into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It was like every father's like revenge dream. You take my daughter, I'm running through all you motherfuckers. Right. So like John Wick definitely goes to that aspect. Yeah. But it's not like whereas Taken takes kind of like, I guess you could say, more realistic, gritty approach. Right. John Wick is like Lamborghinis right out of the shop. Yeah. It's just slick, clean, and like really well produced. Yeah. And so it's like I said, I don't get the same feeling when I watch like Death Wish, or Taken. It's much more in a fun vein, I would say.
Yeah, but you're right about it's being sleek, but it also has this like gritty underbelly.
Really, you think so?
Oh yeah, I mean, do you mean
with the violence or just overall tone?
I mean like the locations, and I mean and the tone, the fighting that occurs. Yeah, I mean the fact that he uses a sledgehammer to open up his stuff that he'd concreted over.
So awesome,
but that's a gritty thing, and then where he ends up in an abandoned. It looks like abandoned factory where he crashes his truck at the end and climbs out to get the new dog. Like all of that in there, you get that sense of like the underbelly of New York. And so it is some rich areas, some clean. It is a sleek film, but it never loses that like kind of where your guts filled with like broken glass and barbed wire. You have that feeling, and the whole time, which is what like when he kills everybody, the manner in which he kills people, the viciousness with which he kills, with the reckless abandon, it's just fantastic. And like even that scene in the bathroom when he finally, like when he sneaks into that club and kills that dude's henchman, it is so violent.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I love the whole club scene where he's going through. It reminded me of Collateral.
Oh yeah,
remember Collateral?
Yes,
with Tom Cruise
when Jamie has to go. Oh yeah, when Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx,
he's just taking dudes out in the club and there's music going. For some reason, it's always cool to have like a gun battle or gunfight in a nightclub,
right?
Because it's just there's already a music soundtrack. Yeah, you got disco balls going around. It just makes it so much cooler.
Yeah, and you can't see much, so it's fun to like create what's happening, you know, and the speed and ferocity which is happening. You get caught up in. Yeah,
and this movie should be called. I originally said this movie should be called Face Shot because he just shoots people in the face over and over.
Yeah,
it's like he doesn't. You know, it's the old Hitman thing: 2 in the chest, 1 in the head.
Yeah,
is that what they used to say? And he just does that to everybody.
Yeah.
Ba 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 ba.
Well, there's a great line in Miller's Crossing when he says, "It's something I tell all my boys." Yeah, Coen Brothers. Always put one in the brain. And so you get that feeling through the whole that he's just a methodical death machine.
I'm trying to think of what are some of Keanu's films before this, because I know he was definitely not doing anything for a while.
No.
I mean, like, I remember The Day the Earth Stood Still was a pretty big flop.
Yeah. He did some Japanese or Chinese movie last year.
47 Ronin was horrible.
47 Ronin. No, but I mean, there's one called Man of Something.
Yeah.
Man of Tai Chi.
It's the one he directed.
Yeah, the one he directed. Yeah.
Which was a martial arts kind of throwback.
It's on Netflix. I haven't seen it.
I've heard some good things about it.
Yeah.
I heard it's like a good kind of throwback to like Bloodsport kind of thing. Oh, nice. But more contemporary.
Okay. I do want to see that.
I like check it out just for the martial arts because I think once he did The Matrix, he really got into the whole martial arts thing. But yeah, this movie, and he already announced, by the way, sequel.
Yeah,
which
and it should
I'm
be
totally happy about.
It didn't make a lot, and Miramax tried to bury it. Like
really?
They didn't think it was going to make any money. They released it when they released it. They didn't do a lot of promotion for it.
Okay.
And so, like, I think Harvey felt that it wasn't. I read this in interviews and in reviews that Harvey felt that it wasn't quite what they thought would take off. And it's like, how could you make such a mistake on this? Like, it's so obviously a good film, you know.
People, like, everyone I know have seen it, loved it. Coming out of it.
Yeah.
I mean.
And it's one of those films like The Drop last year was the same thing. Like, The Drop was surprisingly good to me. And that was with Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy and
he also has a small
Gandolfini.
dog. He has to do these things. It wasn't as violent as John Wick, but you have these small independent features that like really take advantage of the talent of the actors they put in there. And I think Wick showed a new side of Keanu that we hadn't seen, and I don't think Keanu could have played this until this stage in his life.
Okay, I can understand
You know,
that,
the loss of a wife, the loss of the dog, like all that bleeding into, and then the viciousness with which, I mean, it was so natural to him. It was shocking.
The thing for me is, like, you know, Keanu is definitely a standout in the movie as far as he's being awesome. I love action films.
Yeah.
Been a huge action junkie since day one, since I started watching movies.
Yeah.
So it was so refreshing for me to see an action film not just, you know, have a cool story,
right,
be shot so well.
Yeah.
There's none of that, you know, fast cuts.
Yeah. Some
of these movies where it's like you don't even know where you are half the time.
Right.
And like I said, because the two directors were stunt directors, were, you know, stuntmen for so long, they knew how to choreograph action scenes. And they kind of took it back to old school, almost John Woo.
Yeah.
Because I'm a huge John Woo fan.
Yeah. That was my first movie I ever did.
What's that?
Wind Talkers.
Wind Talkers. Oh, really?
That. Yeah.
No way.
With John Woo, yeah.
Shut up.
I did 2 weeks of ADR work on it. After
nice.
I was in it for 3.5 months. Like I shot for 3 months as a core extra. So I was around Nick Cage and Christian. So you can see me in the film in random shots.
You're blowing my mind right now. I remember.
But I met him.
Yeah.
Incredibly nice guy.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, he directed me a few times on the ADR. Very, very nice guy. He like shook each one of us by hand after we were done every day at the session that he would show up. He would shake our hands, hello. He would shake our hands, goodbye, and he would thank us for the work. He's a gentleman, man. Regardless of...
Makes me so happy to hear that.
Well, he's a good guy. Regardless of the results of the films, like he didn't do so well on the American side of things, but his Hong Kong stuff is brilliant. And so, like you were saying, your mind's blown.
Yeah.
My mind was blown because I had become such a huge fan of his.
Yep.
That to meet him in person just drove me insane.
You always get a little worried when you meet your heroes.
Yeah.
I was a huge John Woo fan. I hit John Woo when I was in high school, and I got to the point where my film geekdom was just reaching, you know, huge levels.
Yeah.
And I started for the first time going outside to foreign films.
Oh, JTE, you like foreign films?
Oh, I love
foreign
how
films. Interesting. Okay. The shit you and Christian give me for loving foreign films.
No, I
don't want to hear it anymore.
I do not give you shit for foreign films. Maybe Christian does.
He does.
I do not. I love foreign films because here's the thing. When you watch so many American Hollywood films, there's a formula.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There's a formula. The guy's usually going to win, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. When I first saw The Killer and some of these other movies, I said,
Hard-boiled.
Wait a minute, the bad guy could win sometimes?
Yeah.
It's not, you know, Hollywood produced and, you know, made to please everybody.
Yeah.
Those are the movies I really started responding to, so I went on a huge John Woo I've seen everything the guy's done.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah.
And John Wick definitely kind of brought me back a little bit to that John Woo.
Absolutely.
Not just like action, but the way it was choreographed.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Hard Boiled.
Yeah.
Just everything's wide. You get to see the moves. You get to see the shots, and the way the music works with the actual gun battles at times too. It's almost part of the music.
Yeah, it almost feels like this is coming back, right? This kind of shooting, because even in Daredevil, if you watch the series, there's that 2-minute fight sequence in the hallway of the apartment building. It's fantastic,
and everyone forgets the Hard Boiled.
Yeah,
one floor to the second floor, one take where they just go through 2 floors of a hospital and shoot everybody.
Yep,
it's great filmmaking that gets lost. The reason why I first saw Hard Boiled was because I remember going through an old magazine. I think it was Empire Movie or something like that. And it was around high school time. Yeah. And in there it said the top 25 action films of all time. And I said to myself, I must have seen all these. Right. I was like, Die Hard was I think number 1.
Right, of course it is.
T2 was in there, First Blood. And then when I got to number 5, it said Hard Boiled. And I said, what the hell is this movie? I was like, what? There's a movie in the top 5 action films of all time that I had never seen? Right. So I went to my local Suncoast.
Yeah, I remember Suncoast.
And I had to pre-order. I had to order the movie for $40. Yeah. And I finally got it, and my life was changed. Actually, on a past episode of JT Movie Thinks, I took Finstock and Mark Ellis to the New Beverly in LA.
Oh shit! To see
The Killer.
Oh yeah.
And we recorded a podcast immediately after watching the movie.
How funny!
So guys, if you want to hear some more John Woo talk, go back, look for the Mark Ellis Finstock episode where I took him to go see The Killer.
That's great.
In LA. And but let's get back to John
Wick.
Well,
The Killer was a top 10 80s action film that I lobbied for on the show.
I heard that. I was like, yes. Yeah. That's when I agreed with you hardly.
That's when we were yelling for good reason.
Probably never even heard of it.
No, he'd never seen it or heard of it or anything. I mean, same thing with Runaway Train. He had never heard or seen
I know.
that.
Here's the thing. I like Runaway Train.
It's a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah.
But it's not something that comes to mind when you think of top 80 action movies.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
But I understand. It's not the fault of you. It's just the fault of the general public.
Right. A lot of people haven't seen it.
It's been forgotten almost.
Yeah. Sometimes.
That thing was nominated for Oscars.
I know. I don't choose movies just to choose them for attention. These are naturally my realistic favorite choices.
Yes.
And so it's and so sometimes they'll show up, and Matt has been really great about that. Matt's always good about saying oh, here's a film I haven't seen, I'm going to put that on the list. He never puts me down for these things, and I think that's important when you have a partnership. Sure. You have to respect each other's points of views on things. I mean, I always agree, but you have to respect each other's points.
One
of
my
views.
Favorite parts of guys' shows when you come down to breaking down top 10 lists. And you guys have to literally, it's just a tug and pull of I need this.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, that's what we do at the end of we each bring our own top 10 lists and we discuss it. We rank them, and we tell each other how we rank, and then at the end we have a natural organic discussion where we have to pare our 20 down to 10, and we have to make negotiations and compromises, and that's something we fought for.
Part of the show, right?
Yeah. Well, that's something we fought for because Christian didn't want us to do that on record that.
Oh, really?
He wanted us to already have the list made out and talk about it.
No, I love that you guys discuss it.
Right, we just felt it's something, and Christian launches a bunch of great shows. It's just one thing that he felt we didn't quite need, but it ended up working out. So
So if you guys were doing best action films of the past decade, top 10 list, would John Wick make that
Absolutely.
list? Absolutely.
Wick would make top 10 on so many lists from the past. I mean, it's just such
Keanu Reeves top 10 list.
Keanu Reeves absolutely top 5 at
top
least.
5 probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's tough because Point Break, Matrix.
Yeah. But Matrix just 1, not 2 or 3.
Yeah. I can understand that. All right, so how do you feel about the sequel? Now, do you feel like when you left that theater, it needed a sequel, or could you use a sequel? I almost feel like a prequel would almost work.
Ooh, a prequel.
Because we heard so much about him.
Yeah.
Because the way this one ends, I'm sure they could come up with something good.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just I have no real idea where it's going to go from here.
Well, then does he become another hired assassin? Is he back on the list? Is he back on the list? Because
at the end of the movie...
And you left Pilecki alive, so she could come back, right?
Pilecki died.
Adrian Pilecki did not die. Did she die?
Yeah, when she meets up and all the 4 guys come from out of the pillars.
Oh, that's right at the end!
Yeah.
My bad. Right. I was thinking, because she killed that black dude, I was like,
she broke
did she get out of there? Yeah, but no, Ian McShane had her killed.
Ian McShane took her out. Right. So where would let's play a little producer role here. If you were the producer, and they're like, hey, we need an idea for John Wick 2, Is there anything that comes to your mind?
That's tough. You already tackled the Russian thing. What would be the next?
True,
I mean, that's once you swing for the fences on the Russian villain, which is the villain du jour right now.
Maybe
in
take
so
it
many
to
films.
like Hong Kong or something.
Yeah, maybe go. And take advantage.
States.
Yeah, take advantage of his Asian interests. Although I don't know if that would work. It would make it even more of a smaller film, more of a niche film. So I don't know. I mean, maybe another New York story, maybe an LA story. Because I mean, if you watch Ray Donovan, it's almost kind of like the same thing, and he's already kind of angling with. But I like the idea of a prequel. That's actually a really good idea.
Do you think he could pull it off with the way he looks and age and all that? I mean, it'd have to be in just a few years before he met his wife.
Right, they weren't married that long before she died, so you could do the prequel where he he's like doing this, and the mission is what brings him in contact with her, and they fall in love, and she helps him like retire from the business. That would be fun to explore, to see if you could do that.
Yeah, maybe like you could do some flashbacks, even if you don't do a full prequel, do some flashbacks of something that comes from his past, comes back to haunt him or something.
Well, here's a question for you: Do you like having the backstory fully on these kind of characters? Because we were just presented John Wick,
not for the first
everybody
one.
loved it.
Well, that's the thing. For John Wick, I didn't need it because it made him. Right. It made you more like every time they're talking about him, you're like, oh, this guy, I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah.
We've seen it now.
Yeah.
We know what he could do. So the movie, I don't want the sequel to bring up the whole same thing where it's like, oh, build him up and then show me, because we already know what he could do. I guess maybe give him an actual foe this time.
Oh, yeah.
Because I really don't felt like anybody even came close to becoming a foe.
That's a good point. Yeah, everyone's really outmatched.
That last warehouse scene... He just annihilates.
JT,
which is
that's a great idea.
Totally badass.
Yeah, you give him a foe that's just as much of a badass as he is, who's like maybe the brother of the Russian guy.
Yeah, and he's taking out dudes.
Family's really important to these guys, so why not? That would work great. I mean, it worked for Die Hard 3.
Yeah, I like to see John Leguizamo come back too. I love having him just show up in the movie, man.
It's you watch interviews with him. He's an interesting cat, man, because he if you watch his one person shows, Matt hates his one person shows. I like his one person shows.
I remember seeing an HBO special where he did one.
Yeah,
and it was interesting.
He talks about his life in the business. Like he's really honest about how he's been broke and how he's been successful and how he fought.
He released a book, like a tell-all kind of, where he was talking about how Snipes and Swayze were fighting on To Wong Fu, thanks for everything, whatever. So he's very open about all that.
Yeah, so I liked seeing him in a role that was like took advantage of his natural feeling of strength. Yeah, like Leguizamo has a natural, and I like that he played that role.
He was neutral too. Yeah, he wasn't a good guy. He wasn't a bad guy.
He's just doing his job. Yeah, and he has to have his place respected, which is why he pushed back against the kid of the Russian mobster, which is a kid from
Game of Thrones.
Who had his penis intact for this one. So.
That's true. Especially in that nightclub scene. He had girls all over the place.
Oh, good God.
So I would love to see like an opponent for him. Maybe cast somebody. Man. I don't know who you would cast. Who'd be like a badass guy for him to face off, man?
It's too bad Swayze's gone. Swayze would be fun to play.
Imagine that. If Swayze came back as like an older hitman, was badass. It was like a Point Break.
Wouldn't that be brilliant?
Oh, that would have been amazing.
It's too bad Alex Winter's not that great, because he would have been great too. Bill and Ted Switch.
Yeah, dude. Oh, man, that'd been great if Swayze would have been in that. Counter would just be shooting everybody in the face, and Swayze would just be ripping throats left and right. Yeah. Roadhouse style. Just.
There'd be some. I
wonder. Yeah, maybe even bring like a foreign star. Somebody, a martial artist maybe.
That'd be great. Because then it could lead into the Hong Kong thing you were talking about, or the Asian thing you were talking about.
I will be there opening weekend.
Yeah, whatever it is.
That is for sure. I will be there opening weekend. Like I said earlier, The Equalizer is another movie that was very similar kind of film, a throwback to like maybe a 90s, 80s action movie. Which one did you like better? If I was going to ask you, if you had to leave one on the table, a Schmoes choice, if you will. Equalizer or John Wick, which one you take?
JT, that's a very difficult question.
It is. It's supposed to be, man. It's tough for me too, because I just watched Equalizer 2 weeks ago.
Let me tell you something. I think it would have to be I would take John Wick. And here's the truth, because Equalizer has been showing, and I've stumbled upon it a couple times, but I haven't stayed watching it. And the fact that Wick kept me watching, and I have watched subsequently, like if I have like 10, 15 minutes before I have to go to bed or before I have to go somewhere, and it's just happens to be on, I'll watch those 10 or 15 minutes. Whereas Equalizer, to me, Equalizer is like a 7-course meal. And like, John Wick is more of a kind of like, it's not a fast food, but it's a good quick meal that you got to get out and get out. It's only an hour and a half.
Gotcha.
And Equalizer is like 2 hours. So it's a more involved film.
Equalizer definitely has a little more of a darker tone, obviously. Yeah. It's much more serious. There's very light, there's almost no light moments in the movie.
No.
Whereas
And it's a more...
John Wick's really violent, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's violent fun.
It's a very fun film. Well, Equalizer is fun, but in like a disturbing way.
Listen, tomorrow you guys may question, I might say Equalizer, but right now I would say John Wick.
I just watched, like I said, Equalizer 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I need to watch John. I've watched it. I revisited it since it's been on theaters.
Yeah.
I have the Blu-ray.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Good.
So I need to watch it again.
You should, man. And I will say this on Equalizer. We've seen this already from Denzel. Like, Man on Fire is basically Equalizer.
Yes,
right?
I totally agree. Like,
I've never seen anything like this.
It could be a sequel,
Keanu.
really.
Right, it really could.
It really could.
And I could if it didn't get,
Yeah.
But I've never seen anything like this from Keanu.
Yeah.
And so I think that puts it over the edge for me as well.
It's funny you say that, because even though he is reluctant in Matrix, that one scene where he goes into the lobby of the building where they're holding...
Oh, yeah, but he has Carrie-Anne Moss
He does have Carrie-Anne Moss.
So there's the thing.
But there's glimpses of him just being a badass with machine guns and martial arts. So, like, I have seen hints of that before.
Right.
I think John Wick was just a return to full-on.
Yeah.
Which
fully realized.
Was awesome to see.
Yeah.
I want a John Wick video game. I want a John Wick PS4 video game.
Why not?
Because it's basically, at times I felt like this is just like insane, awesome video game at times.
Yeah, you're like handed secret missions every single time. Yeah,
like I could totally seeing those being levels in a video game where like go through the club, go through the warehouse.
Well, people love Hitman. That whole series, they keep coming out with new games. So why not? Wick would work.
Good point. Let's talk a little about Keanu Reeves' career. Like I mentioned, The Matrix is one of his. Yeah. I mean, that's just a staple of not just Keanu Reeves, but movies, period.
Yeah.
Were you always a fan of his, like even his earlier work?
Oh, well, I mean, I love Bill and Ted. That was my first exposure to him.
Gotcha.
I'm at that age where I was able to watch that and enjoy that as a kid, and the sequel was okay. It wasn't great, but like that original film was fun. Mm-hmm. And then you always saw him play these darker things. Like when I was getting into independent film, My Own Private Idaho came out.
I was just about to say, My Own Private Idaho.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater, and I was like, this is, whoa. Yeah. Like, when you're used to a Hollywood formula, but you want to push the boundaries of what you're watching, you go see those films, and they do test your ability to accept what's happening. And so My Own Private Idaho was a real wake-up call for me as an actor.
It's funny because I feel like he's been successful in the big-budget films like Matrix.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But he's also had some stinkers like Chain Reaction, I hated. 47 Ronin. Point Break is one of those movies I loved growing up.
Right.
But I never thought of it as a Keanu Reeves movie.
Yeah.
That was Swayze's movie for me, man. I mean, Keanu was fine, but he really is kind of a straight man in a way. Right. So Swayze's just awesome.
Yeah.
But to me, his best film in the 90s, I guess besides The Matrix, is Speed.
Oh, yeah. Speed, of course.
I think that movie holds up today.
Right.
It's a phenomenal. It's one of the best action films of the 90s, in my opinion. If you ever do a top 10 90s movies, action,
I'm sure we will.
Speed better be in there.
Yeah, Speed has to be in there.
And
I can remember that's already top 5 in my head right now.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves. I think that was the first time where he really became kind of like an A-list star.
Yeah.
That was the film that
him and Sandra. Him and Sandra both kind of blew up off that film.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch. He has these one-offs that are really good. Like, I'm 1,000% convinced that the Wachowskis had no concept of making that into a trilogy.
I agree, totally agree with that.
Right? I mean, Christian might be yelling at right now if he's listening and going, bull crap, bullshit, but I really think they had no concept of making it a trilogy.
No one expected it to be as big as it was.
No, but that's the thing. He does these films because the force of his personality, and when it's combined with a good director, a good script, good actors around him, he really can bring these films to life and make you connect with him.
A film right before The Matrix, which was another sci-fi internet type movie, was Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh, Johnny Mnemonic, right, yeah.
Totally bombed at the box office.
Yes, it did.
He has balls to go from that movie to a very similar movie in Matrix, and he's like, I'm going to try it again.
Well, I think that's what's fascinating about him, man. He has... Like, he doesn't come out in the press and make controversy. He doesn't, make himself the center of anything. He does his job, answers the questions, does random interviews when he wants to, and goes back to whatever he does. It's
funny because he's had these action movies and he's done movies like My Private Idaho. But have you ever seen a film where you're like, oh man, he's going to get an Oscar for this? He's never really been that caliber of actor.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he's always solid. He's always good. But
what do you think is his best performance as just an actor overall?
Jesus.
Does one even come to mind?
I mean,
it's tough, right?
It really is tough.
It's tough. Like, I'll pull up his IMDb while you think a little bit.
I've enjoyed him in numerous films.
Me too.
But I don't know if he's ever had the strength to win an Oscar.
Yeah, he's not like in that upper echelon.
Because even My Own Private was really Rivers' thing.
Yes, I totally agree.
And Was he in River's Edge? I don't know if he was on River's
Yes,
Edge. But all the other actors seem to kind of carry that film more than him.
He was like, I remember him like early in the day having bit parts in like Parenthood. Ron Howard's Parenthood.
Oh, right, Parenthood.
Where he played like... Just played like a regular dude who was like banging the daughter.
I just like that he's moved past this whole Bill and Ted stigma. Like people don't always go whoa with him anymore. You know,
I think he still gets it once in a while, but
probably. But that's you not being aware of what's happening.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, he's really done some great work since then. You know, and
I'm trying to think of. I'm really struggling to think of a movie where I was just like, oh man, this guy needs to be nominated for this movie.
I mean, he's tried. What was that one with? Wasn't there one with Charlize? September something, where he like they had a romance and he was dying of cancer, or she was dying of cancer. I can't remember. Remember?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. So, all right, let's look at some of these. 47 Ronin, obviously not.
God, I'm so mad at that film because the original from the 50s, the Japanese film, is amazing.
Really?
And I own it.
Okay.
And it's got nothing to do with flying dragons and all that crap.
Yeah.
It's legitimately a samurai film.
I don't walk out of many movies. Yeah. I walked out of 47 Ronin about halfway through.
I did not want to believe the bad reviews. I refused to believe the bad reviews, and it was bad.
It was so bad.
And there were so many good actors wasted.
You said you liked Lake House. I never saw it, but I've heard decent things about it.
Oh, Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, but...
Right?
To me, it's almost like that was almost a guilty pleasure. I enjoyed it, but I was like, all right, nothing great.
I think
here.
that's a fair point, man.
A lot of Matrix stuff. Hardball was a movie my sister cried to like crazy.
I remember Hardball.
Sweet November is the movie you were talking about.
Yes, Sweet November, that's it, yeah.
The Replacements, a fun, kind of Necessary Roughness knockoff. It was okay.
It was about my Redskins, and I hated that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a Redskins fan, and I hated it.
Yeah, man. Feeling Minnesota? That's one I never saw.
That's one with Cameron, right?
Yeah. Never saw that one.
Well, there was rumors about him being nominated in Much Ado About Nothing, when he played Prince John, was the villain. Yeah, in that Kenneth Branagh film, but he never got nominated. But I don't know that he kind of has it to get over. I mean, Walk in the Clouds. A lot of women like a Walk in the Clouds.
True. I was looking at Bram Stoker's Dracula,
which I own.
Yeah,
that's a guilty movie pleasure.
That is a guilty.
If they ever asked me to be on the guilty movie pleasures, I would love to do Dracula on that.
Yeah, so he's had an interesting career. Like he's had blockbuster hits. He's done some smaller films, but I'm not saying he's not capable of it either.
No.
I just think maybe the right project has never come along for him.
He's never not good. Even something like Street Kings, which you get a kind of glimpse into kind of a badass that he can be, he's great in those things. You know? And I'm telling you, if you haven't seen Lake House, I know it didn't get the greatest reviews. I enjoy the shit out of it. If you like rom-coms, you're trying to keep your girlfriend with you, make them watch Lake House. It's a sweet little film.
Lake House, everybody, check out it. I mean, it's about a magical mailbox.
Yeah, it's about a magical mailbox.
How it works?
It is.
It's like a futurist or time-traveling mailbox?
Yeah, it's a time-traveling mailbox.
Sounds weird, but I'll check it out.
You can't put yourself in it, but you put letters in it.
Yeah, so, alright guys, so that was about it for John Wick. I think it's a very entertaining movie.
Absolutely.
It's not the deepest thing, but if you just want a good time and well-choreographed shot action scenes, I think it's something you should definitely check out, especially if you're an action aficionado.
Yeah.
I love the movie.
And it's got weight.
It does.
It's not no frivolous throwaway action film. There's weight. There's a reason for why he's doing what he's doing. And he plays it. He plays it really well.
They do a good job of setting up, like, you feel his anger.
Yes.
It's not, a good revenge movie, you don't set up the loss.
Right.
It doesn't work out so well.
I think it's better than Taken. My honest belief.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah, for me, it's better than Taken.
Ooh, that's tough. I love Taken.
You don't have the half and half quality of Maggie Grace as an actress in there.
Here's the thing: I never saw Taken 2 or 3.
Oh, don't ever.
That's why.
They're so bad.
That's why.
The third one was the worst.
The third one was the worst.
God damn.
But that first one, man, is pretty.
It's a good one.
Damn awesome.
It is.
And but again, like I said in the beginning of the show, it's a much more realistic. It's hard to say realistic, but it is a more realistic, gritty version than anything that John Wick's trying to do.
Yeah.
Like I know you said it feels gritty, but for me it doesn't feel that gritty. That's just me personally.
Really?
It feels really sleek.
You think Taken's more gritty with their French little guy?
Yeah, because it's just the way the shot and the violence. It feels more real. John Wick, there's guy shot in the face number 10.
Yeah.
I don't feel that as much as some of the people when he kills.
I respect you. I think Taken's more comical, whereas Wick is more, to me, more real.
Taken's more comical?
Yeah. I mean, the fat Arab guy on the boat, it looks like Abdullah the Butcher if you're an old wrestling fan. And so to me, it kind of takes away from it. But it doesn't take away the film. It's not it's a badass film.
We need to do a top 10 episode of Rocha and JT disagreements. The top 10 disagreements. Number 1's Bourne, but I feel like we're gonna have more. That's all right.
That's what loving film's all about, man.
Exactly. I love these kind of fights. All right, so usually the last 10 minutes of the show, I like to do a thing called Quick Things.
Okay.
I tweeted out to the Schmovilles on Twitter, and they tweeted out movies they watched, and I just want to throw them out there.
Okay.
Guess some of your quick thinks about it.
Sure.
Let's go. Let's start this off. Okay. Alex Corey at AJC_films said the last movie he watched was Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, love that film.
Love it.
Yeah, such a good film.
I struggle. Let me tell you, I struggle with what I love more.
Oh, okay.
When people say, "What's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie?" Pulp Fiction's the popular answer.
Really?
And Inglourious Basterds almost right there with me.
Wow. I would say Kill Bill's my favorite.
What?
Yeah, absolutely. Bar none.
That's at the bottom of my list.
You're crazy.
You're insane.
You don't like samurai films, obviously.
I love samurai movies.
There's no way you can.
Listen, I grew up with Kurosawa, and we've talked about this.
Yeah.
I've seen almost every Kurosawa film. I love samurai films. Go see 13 Assassins, Twilight Samurai.
13 Assassins is awesome. JTE, great reference.
Twilight Samurai.
Yep, Twilight Samurai. I own them.
I own them too, buddy.
Yeah.
But Kill Bill...
Kill Bill.
Here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. Quentin Tarantino has not made a bad movie.
The whole opus, 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay.
To me, it's an entire film. To me.
To me, it's hard to break it up like that. Yeah, they were released separately. They're sold separately.
That's all bullshit. They did it to make money. It's a whole film.
Don't get me wrong, people out there. I really enjoy Kill Bill.
Right.
But it's on the bottom of... If I was making a top 10 list...
Out of your mind.
Jackie Brown might be the bottom, but Kill Bill's second to the bottom.
Jackie Brown's nowhere near the bottom.
And I like Jackie Brown.
Yeah. Well, I would say Inglourious is great, and I love that ending where he carves the Nazi symbol into his head. That's such a badass moment.
And the last words from the character is, I think, Quentin Tarantino talking to the audience.
Yeah.
Where he goes, this just might be my masterpiece. And Inglourious Basterds, I feel like that's one of those movies I would teach in school, especially the opening scene.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal.
Oh, good God. That's as an actor, that's a phenomenal opening scene.
Yeah. All right, let's do another one here. Isaiah Belcher, IC Belcher 95. A movie I have not seen, Scream 4.
I have not seen that.
Okay, well...
I dipped out on the Scream franchise after the second one.
I love the first one.
Yeah.
I think it really holds up actually pretty well.
You know what's ironic? I've seen more Scary Movie installments than the Scream installments.
I think I'm with you on that one. I saw the first 3, and then I stopped after that.
Was it a Scary Movie?
Yeah.
Or Scream?
Scream.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen him just because at the time it was the thing to do.
Yeah.
Here we go. God, I can't pronounce this guy's name. I'm just going to go at Master Left Boot.
Yeah.
At Master Left Boot.
I like it.
Interesting. Pacific Rim. Thoughts on Pacific Rim?
Did not like it.
Didn't like it?
I did not like it.
Okay, you know what?
It was so annoying.
I went to the premiere.
Yeah, okay.
I got to, meet Guillermo del Toro, which I call Guillermo.
I love Guillermo del Toro.
Tom Cruise was there. I was starstruck.
Nice.
It was pretty awesome. I met the cast of Always Sunny there.
Oh, cool.
So I might have been a little, you would think that would take my judgment away a little bit, adding, and it did. I had a lot of problems with that movie story-wise.
Yeah?
If you could just cut the story out of that movie and show me the action scenes, I would probably love it. If
you would just play Idris Elba's speech over and over again for 2 hours, I'd been fine with that as the movie. But I just thought it just didn't do anything for me.
I brought it up before. I like the movie. I hope the sequel improves on the story, because the action scenes are not the problem. It's the story.
Yeah.
And the characters, to be honest with you.
God forbid that be essential in a movie.
Yeah. Colin at Duck is God. The Guest. I love this movie.
Oh, the small film.
Yes,
I went and saw that. Homie from Downton Abbey.
Yes.
He was great. This was an awesome callback to those kind of quiet 80s films like The Hitcher and I forget what it's called, but like that thing that Kyle MacLachlan's in the movie, and it's about this alien that it's not The Thing, but it's something else where it keeps jumping into people's bodies. And it was such an awesome but it was like an awesome little small film. But I think Michael Nouri's his partner in it.
Definitely has some John Carpenter vibes.
Yes, it's 80s horror done in 2014, I guess. It was so good, so surprisingly good. Great ending, great funny ending. It's just, I just loved it.
It was my top 10 last year. I absolutely loved it. We could still be friends. Dominic Ferreira at Dom Ferreira 5. When Harry Met Sally.
It's the top rom-com ever made.
I
still watch that damn film.
It's so good.
It's still so good. If you're ever in a relationship and you watch that film, it's just you just kind of feel that connection.
This is one of those movies I watched when I think I was around high school the first time, and I didn't get it.
Really?
Because I liked it.
Wow.
Here's the thing, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But once you've grown up and actually experienced relationships and gone through the up and the downs, that movie resonates so much more with me.
Oh yeah, and I've had that singing with a Surrey fringe on top in front of Ira moment. I've had that in real life.
Okay.
Where I'm with someone and then run into my ex with her new guy. That's a terrible moment.
Here's somebody, a friend of mine, at Dan Murrow from Screen Junkies.
Okay. Oh, I love Dan.
Yeah, last movie he watched was Trainwreck. Did you see this yet?
No, I have not seen this yet.
Okay, it's not bad. Here's the thing. Apatow, 40-Year-Old Virgin, his best film in my opinion. Because it's him just trying to be funny.
Yes, I love that film.
The more his movies got on, he was trying to do this whole dramedy thing.
Yeah.
I felt like he was just trying to get nominated or win an Oscar. This was 40. I did not like at all. Funny people...
It's because you're not 40.
Yeah, true.
Everybody I know who's over 40 like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we get it. We get it.
All right.
You'll get it too, JT.
Yeah, it's like when Harry met Sally. I'll have to wait until I get older. The funny people for me, I like the beginning. The second half kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
But this is definitely Apatow going back to trying to just be funny.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some drama in it too, but I feel like it's not as heavy-handed.
Okay.
So I enjoyed it, and it also depends how much you like Amy Schumer.
I'm not the biggest fan of her. I like what she's doing. I think she's got the right message. I'm just not the biggest fan of her. But I'll go see it.
Totally understand.
Yeah, it's on the list.
Ericer1416 at Ericer1416. His name's Eric.
Okay.
Imagine that. Tropic Thunder.
Oh,
this is something that came up on your list, which Nost hated.
I don't understand Nost hate for this one. It makes no sense to me. That film is one of the funniest things I've ever had. I mean, like, I got into a fight with a company that was fixing my PlayStation 3 because my copy of Tropic Thunder, my Blu-ray copy, stuck in the PlayStation.
No way.
And I had to negotiate for 3 weeks to get my copy back.
What?
Because that film is so damn funny and important to me. I love that film, man. It's so good. And Cruise what Downey Jr. is doing, what Cruise does, even what Stiller does, sending up those old ideas of war films, just effing brilliant on so many levels, man.
Very good movie. I saw it in theaters. I loved it. Rewatched it about just maybe a week ago.
Yeah.
I just threw it back on. My only small complaint with the movie is maybe it's a little too long.
Really?
I think they could have edited down a little bit more. Because an hour and a half into... It's like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, it is.
I remember an hour and a half and thinking, like, man, this thing... I was feeling the length a little bit. But here's the thing. I still love the movie.
Yeah.
Downey's terrific. I still quote that movie.
Absolutely.
Never go full retard.
No.
It's an amazing line.
I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker. That's one of my favorite lines.
Yes, I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker. I still don't know why Nost just seems totally turned off by
He says he sees the jokes coming. I'm like, okay.
I mean...
If you say so.
Yeah. That was one of those times where I was listening to your show and I was like, what?
Yeah, well, at Nost.
Yeah, at Nost.
Did you ever see the special features on that?
Are you kidding me? Heart of Darkness.
Heart of Darkness.
Ripoff.
That's just a brilliant parody.
I even love the MTV thing they did.
For that was funny as
MTV
hell.
Movie Awards. Yeah, so good. So really enjoy that movie. Again, I do think maybe it's a little too long. Maybe disagree, but still really good. Here's one I really like here. Paul Blackhurst at PJ Blackhurst.
I like that. That's a good name.
Yeah,
Paul Blackhurst.
Walk the Line. He says it's the best biopic. I think so. And Johnny Cash came out the year after Ray, which won all the awards for Jamie Foxx. I like this over Ray. I prefer this over it. Maybe it's also might be because who's not a Johnny Cash fan.
Right.
But I just loved Joaquin's performance. I love going back to that era in music.
Yeah.
And I just think it was really well done. It's probably my favorite James Mangold film.
Right. Listen, I won't deny. I think
what do you think?
I loved Walk the Line. I enjoyed that movie. I did. I like Ray too. I think Ray's less disjointed, but it's also a longer life.
Yes.
And the other, but for me, honestly, La Bamba is my favorite biopic.
Oh yeah,
I love
La Bamba.
I'm Latino. There's just a connection. There's a lot of things that you didn't see that stuff on film. Like you really didn't. They didn't show that. So for me, it was, and I just like the performances. I like that it's a good mix of rock and roll. Yeah, Lou Diamond, Esai Morales. You know, there's all the great performances are there. But Walk the Line is a really good film, and he does a great job. Joaquin does of really bringing Johnny Cash to life. You know,
I think my only small complaint with Walk the Line is the very end. I feel like they didn't know quite how to end it.
Oh, when he asked her to marry her and stuff.
Last shot is him walking like on his downstairs towards his wife.
Oh yeah,
and it just kind of freeze frames.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like it was after he got through the drug reduction and everything.
Right.
And he did that last performance. Again, this is the filmmaker in me. They were just like, I felt like when it ended, I was like, oh, wait. It's like somebody paused the movie for a second. Said, we're going to end it here because we're not quite sure how to end the movie.
It almost feel like a TV movie ending.
A little bit, I would say that. But that being said, it's still probably my favorite. I do love La Bamba. I do love La Bamba.
La Bamba's good, man.
I grew up with La Bamba. All right, we're going to hit one more because we're running out of time. Let's go with...
Damn, I could do this all day. All right,
Dude, trust me. I've had... These shows could go on. Whenever I get somebody in here who really knows movies and loves movies, I could talk all day about it. Last one, only because this is one of my favorite films of the past decade. I did a top 10 films of the decade list.
Okay.
A couple years ago, and this was really high up there.
Yeah.
No Country for Old Men.
Oh yeah, very good film. Absolutely.
This was, and I've said this on the show recently. I swear, every time I do this, I get that movie gets brought up.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying that year it was like There Will Be Blood and No Country. What side were you on?
I really couldn't choose.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved both for different reasons.
Okay.
I mean, I love the scope of There Will Be Blood, but it's really Daniel Day-Lewis's film, right?
Yeah, definitely.
This is almost a vehicle film.
Yeah.
No Country is an overall better film. You would say. I
agree with you.
Yeah.
Won Best Picture, and that was my vote for Best Picture.
Yeah. It took a while for me to come around. Like I had to see that movie multiple times to really understand.
Really?
Like really understand what a lot of what Tommy Lee's story is all about. That last speech is everything.
When I saw that movie, I was like, I need to see it again just for that last speech.
You could have 5 intellectuals sitting at a table, run that speech, and you could have a 2-hour discussion about what they think that speech means. It's such a fantastic little speech, but it blows your damn mind, and it elevates the movie. It elevates the movie.
I'm glad we can end the show with agreement. That makes me happy. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening once again. Do me a favor. Let them know where they can find you.
Oh, yeah.
Social media and your shows.
Well, first, thanks for having me on. This was a blast. You guys can follow me on @TheRochaSays, TheRochaSays, on Instagram or on Twitter. I'm on the Far, Far Away show every Tuesday. We record now with Tiffany Smith over at Geek Nation. And then the Top 10 show on the Schmoes Know YouTube podcast network. And I'm about to launch a new one on voiceover animation called Cast of Characters, which I'll be doing with Yuri Lowenthal. He'll be my co-host. And so that's going to be, and that'll be on Geek Nation, and that's coming up soon. So
exciting, man! I listen to everything you do. I can't wait to listen to more. Guys, you catch me at Schmoes JTE, BOB Box Office Breakdown. Every Monday we break off the box office numbers. The main show on Thursday, Ultimate Schmoedown's coming out this Thursday. If you're listening to this week, hopefully I didn't let you down. If you're listening to this afterwards, you know I did, or I won. Again, Instagram, Twitter, @SchmoesJTE. This was awesome. Thanks so much again one more time, John.
Thank you, man.
I'm definitely going to have you back on.
That'd be great.
I feel like we could have talked, like you said, for another hour
Probably,
or so.
At least.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Listen to iTunes. If you feel like I gave you a 5-star podcast, give me a 5-star rating. I think I did.
He did.
Yeah, and thanks for listening. Later.